said about you, you went to Cranbrook. That's a private school. What's the matter, dog? You embarrassed? This guy's a gangster. His real name's Clarence. And Clarence lives at home with both parents. And Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. This guy don't want to battle. He's shook because ain't no such things as him play crook.
I cannot believe we're making a follow-up video on this already, because I already had content scheduled today. For both of my channels, I had content scheduled today. I was planning on taking today off. But when I woke up this morning, the very first thing I saw on my feed was something that really blew my mind. I mean, I cannot believe that this is the turn that the Ja Morant situation has just taken. It reminds me of another case in the NFL that I covered about a year and a half ago. And I'm going to bring you an update on everything so far, because we literally have Ja Morant posting a video onto his social media of him flashing a weapon. I'm not even kidding. So before we get to the content, this video is going to get demonetized because he's clearly showing off a weapon in this video. So just drop a like and consider subscribing and turning on our notifications to help the channel grow. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. So I've made almost $5,000 playing this game over the past couple months and posting my picks and selections onto my Instagram story for you guys to follow them. And the game that I'm obviously talking about is Prize Picks. Right now, when you use my promo code microphone, they'll match up to $100 of your initial deposit with another $100. And it's been a lot of fun. I mean, yesterday I had Killian Hayes getting less than 21 points, rebounds, and assists. You went into the third quarter with 18, and he finished the game with 20.5. I can't tell you how euphoric that feeling was when I saw that I was able to make $210 off of a pick that came within 0.5 of not hitting. So if you want to check out Prize Picks, make sure you use my promo code microphone for a free 100% deposit match up to $100. And follow me on Instagram if you want to follow my picks on Instagram. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I'm gonna open up this video the same way I opened up my last video. I have no agenda against Ja Morant here. It's not like I am this Laker fan that wants Ja Morant to fail, because at the end of the day, I'm a part of NBA media, and I really want all of the current stars, the next generation of NBA stars, to start succeeding. I want them to generate more interest in the NBA, and at the end of the day, that comes over my Laker fandom. I think that comes first in front of everything. We want to grow this game as much as we possibly can. So whenever I see stuff like this, not only does it blow my mind, but it's very peculiar to say the least. Over the past couple months, something that has been getting more and more news has been Ja Morant. If last year it was Ja Morant being a potential MVP and bringing the Memphis Grizzlies into potential contention, this year he's getting a lot of attention for what he does off the basketball court. The very first incident we heard of was back in December when he was being accused of punching a 17-year-old boy during a pickup basketball game. Now, at the time, you have to understand, I looked at this from the angle of, hey, this could just be someone that's baiting Ja Morant into harming him so he can potentially secure a huge payday. That's how I judged the situation. And to be honest, a lot of you guys gave me a lot of heat for that. Rightfully so. I should not have had that take back then. It's really bad of me to assume such a thing, but you have to understand, at least my thought process back then was the fact that Ja Morant was a model citizen up until that point. I didn't hear any stories of Ja Morant doing anything hood up until that point. I didn't hear any stories of him bringing out weapons, beating up little kids, or pointing laser guns at opposing team staff at all. And that's why the situation we're in now is a little crazier. So to go in chronological order, following this story, which Ja Morant obviously denied, we got another story in regards to the incident with the Indiana Pacers. And this is coming to us from The Athletic. For those of you guys that don't know what happened, Ja Morant and Andrew Nembhard got into it, and eventually James Johnson had to get involved between both of them. Ja Morant's friend Devontae Pack was also on the floor at the time, and he was involved in the incident. The incident occurred on January 29th, and it it began when T. Morant and Devontae Pack, who's John Morant's friend, engaged in a back and forth with a bunch of Indiana Pacers players. The Grizzlies would eventually win, and following the game, a number of Indiana Pacers staffers spoke with The Athletic under the condition of anonymity, and they shared that they were under the belief that a red laser was attached to the gun. According to their account of the situation, there was a Pacers security guard that said, "That's 100% a gun." The report indicates that in the lead up to the laser incident, Pack and the Pacers traveling party were engaged in a shouting match in the arena's loading area for 15 to 20 minutes. As John Morant and his associates exited the arena in separate vehicles, the laser was pointed in the direction of the Pacers traveling party. The result of this entire situation was that the NBA had to do a whole report. They had to do a deep dive on the situation, and eventually Devontae Pack would be banned from the FedEx Forum for an entire year. Now you have to understand, for John Morant, this has to be very frustrating if Devontae Pack truly didn't do anything, considering that John Morant is the face of the Memphis Grizzlies franchise and his best friend no longer could go to games. This is what he had to say about the situation.
Nah, all that stuff, pretty much false. It's been proven. That's all I got to say on it. I honestly don't care, bro. I'm not, at this point in my life, man, I'm protecting my energy, bro. Not responding to nobody else, not entertaining nobody else. That's what they need, likes and clicks.
Hell, it wasn't just John Morant denying the situation. You had Taylor Jenkins defending him as well.
Yeah, I mean, that was addressed internally. Aware of the investigation of the NBA, did a full-on investigation. We were fully compliant with it, and I think they came out with a statement saying nothing was corroborated or found. So, that's what I know, and that's all I'm going to comment about.
The best way I could say this entire story is what Shannon Sharpe had to say in regards to the situation, which, of course, he clearly does have some sort of vendetta against the Memphis Grizzlies given what happened between him and Dylan Brooks when he was sitting courtside. And here's what Shannon Sharpe had to say about the situation. And to be honest, I kind of agree with him.
Ja's a really good basketball player. Ja did everything he could to lift himself and his family out of this type of environment and to get away from this. He wants to surround himself with these type of people. Why? Bruh, you not hard. That's not your life. You want people in the NBA to think you hood, to think you gangster. Nobody looks at you, Ja, and think, man, that's a thug. He hood.
So time would pass us by, and we didn't really hear much about John Morant up until this past week. In our last video, we did recap all of this, but we also covered two brand new incidents. The first being a follow-up to what was alleged by the 17-year-old child, where the alleged assault occurred on July 26th at Morant's home in Tennessee. According to the teenager, Morant hit him with a closed fist, knocking him to the ground, and then continued sticking him while on the ground. Devontae Pack was also listed as a defendant in the suit. The plaintiff said the altercation began after he threw a basketball at Morant, and that he said he accidentally hit the Grizzly star in the face. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, just being completely unbiased here, there's no fucking way that you just accidentally hit John Morant in the face with a basketball. There's no way you accidentally did that. Saying you accidentally threw a basketball at someone's face is wild. You're saying you threw a basketball as hard as you freaking can, and oh, it accidentally hit the person that I was in a dispute with? Yeah, I don't really think so. But anyways, Morant told the police at the time that it was intentional and that he was acting in self-defense after the plaintiff began to approach him as if he wanted to fight. Oh man, this is a sticky situation. This is one of those situations, man. If a 17-year-old's coming up to you and is trying to fight you, or if a woman's coming up to you and is trying to fight you, what are you supposed to do in that situation? I'm not saying what Morant did was right, by the way. It's just, I just want to know in the comment section, what are men supposed to do in that type of situation? Now, the teenager apparently made verbal threats against him before leaving, saying he would light his house up, and the police investigated, but the district attorney declined prosecution. Now, the more recent information we had on that story, which was absolutely wild, was that apparently John Morant flashed a weapon during that incident, which is a brand new detail that we didn't even know about up until recently. And we got more details about how many times John Morant punched the kid. It wasn't just once. Apparently, and allegedly, John Morant was accused of punching this 17-year-old boy 12 to 13 times and flashing a gun at him during a pickup basketball game last summer, according to a police report obtained by Molly HC. And finally, the last story, in my opinion, is a little funny, and that's when John Morant got into an altercation at the mall. It says Morant is known for his high-flying dunks, a thirst for trash talk, and a tight-knit relationship with his father T, who sits courtside at many games. His family has become so much a part of John Morant's brand that T. Morant narrated the commercial launching his son's latest major brand deal with Powerade. Ja Morant was one of the stars of last year's playoffs before the Grizzlies lost a heated series with the eventual champion Golden State Warriors. 2 months after the loss to the Golden State Warriors, Morant's mother was at a Finish Line shoe store at a Memphis mall when she got into a dispute with a store employee. According to a Memphis police report obtained by the Post, she called Morant, who arrived shortly after with a group of as many as 9 other people. Confronted by the director of mall security, Morant and his friends refused the security guard's demands to leave the mall parking lot. Police arrived and a verbal confrontation escalated. The report says until someone in the group allegedly pushed the security director in the head. As the group was leaving the premises, Ja Morant said, "Let me find out what time he gets off." The guard wanted to file a report, police wrote, because he felt threatened by the statement from Ja Morant and had been assaulted by the person who had pushed him. The disturbing parties left the scene and no arrests were made. The Grizzlies, the NBA, and Morant's agent did not respond to questions about the incident, and the security guard declined to comment. Which brings us to where we are now. So, following this incident, you could tell that Ja Morant really didn't care or take these allegations very seriously. When he faced off against the Houston Rockets and Desmond Bane hit a corner 3, you could see Ja Morant celebrating by pretending to shoot a gun. This, honestly, is eerily reminiscent of the Javaris Crittenton Gilbert Arenas situation of the 2010s. If you guys didn't know, Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton got into a dispute, and it ended up in both of them drawing guns at one another in the locker room. Following that incident, when Gilbert Arenas was allowed back onto the basketball court, he ridiculed the whole situation, pretending to fire guns at his teammates. Very eerily reminiscent of that situation. And what's crazy about this is Ja Morant last night would post this video onto his Instagram Live of him pretty much flexing the fact that he has a gun. Now, some people are saying that this isn't a gun, this is just a lighter.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
But still, the fact that he's not really taking this situation very seriously is, it doesn't give me a lot of optimism for his future. As a matter of fact, we have an update from an NBA spokesperson in regards to the Ja Morant situation. And this is coming from both Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania. So according to the Riz God and Adrian Wojnarowski, statement from NBA spokesman Mike Bass, "We are aware of a social media post involving Ja Morant and are investigating." This really reminds me of the Damon Arnett situation that I covered on Microphone not too long ago, where Damon Arnett for some reason thought it'd be a good idea to post a video onto his Instagram story threatening a young man with a gun. And I don't understand why athletes do this, especially athletes that are making millions of dollars. Like, don't get me wrong, Damon Arnett and Ja Morant, two completely separate tiers of athlete. So I waited on this topic to see if we were going to get any additional information because we recently dropped a Ja Morant video, and I decided to hit the gym while I waited. And I go to the gym, and guess who I bump into? None other than Shannon Sharp. No, I didn't ask him what he thought about the situation because he's a little intimidating, I'm going to be honest. But I am looking forward to his take on Monday for sure. And eventually we did get our information. So the very first piece of information we got was from the Riz God Shams Charania. And according to Shams Charania, Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant has been suspended for at least 2 games. The Grizzlies say Morant, who was seen brandishing an apparent gun early Saturday, will be away from the franchise for at least Sunday at the Clippers and Tuesday at the Lakers. By the way, it's been a very tough day for the Grizzlies because Brandon Clark is out for the rest of the season with a left Achilles tear, and Dylan Brooks will also be suspended for Sunday's game versus the Clippers. But it may be difficult to see what Ja Morant thinks of this situation because he actually deactivated his Instagram and his Twitter account. But he did put out a full statement saying, "I take full responsibility for my actions last night. I'm sorry to my family, teammates, coaches, fans, partners, the city of Memphis, and the entire Grizzlies organization for letting you down. I'm going to take some time away to get help and work on learning better methods of dealing with stress and my overall well-being." It just sounds really funny to read this. Yeah, I need to figure out better ways of dealing with my stress than showing off the fact that I own a gun. Dude, I own a gun. You don't see me bringing my gun on camera all the time. It's like locked in some sort of compartment. I barely see it myself. You don't have to show off that you have weapons, okay? Ja Morant is arguably a top 5 or top 10 player in the NBA, depending on who you ask, and is a future face of the NBA. He's very electric to watch. People were really sad that he didn't participate in the slam dunk contest this past year. He has a great future in the NBA. The Memphis Grizzlies are one of the top teams in the Western Conference. This is a team that could definitely become a powerhouse in the West throughout Ja Morant's prime, which, by the way, he hasn't even hit yet, and he's still playing really well. He has a $200 million contract, and he decided that this is the time to tarnish his image. It makes no sense. He was one of the most marketable stars in the NBA back in November. I mean, Powerade relaunched their brand and their campaign after a 5-year hiatus and decided to build it around him. So that should give you an idea of how marketable he was. And then all these allegations come out, and I'm gonna end this video the same way I ended my last video. If it was one-off instance, like originally when we heard in the beginning of January that Ja Morant had these allegations against him, then that's one thing. But when you have 3 separate incidents, and then you have videos of Ja Morant pretending to shoot his teammates, and then you have a video of Ja Morant posting a video of the gun, whether it's a lighter or a real gun, that's a different story, onto his social media, at a specific point, you'd be an idiot not to look at this situation, even though these are all allegations, and say, there's clearly something going on here about this guy. There's something fishy going on. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this situation, man. If you're a Ja Morant fan, if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan especially, I want to get your comment in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.